Hello, everybody. Jim Feist for Proline TV right here in Las Vegas. I'm joined by Andy Iskoe, The Logical Approach. Hi, Andy.
Good afternoon, Jim. Hope you're doing well as we are getting set for the start of the football NFL weekend a little bit later on with the Chargers and the Vikings. And that means another exciting week of surviving.
Yeah, I think we only got like 45 minutes for that to start, right? Yeah, it's about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, be cranking away here. And right now, the Chargers are 3 and 44 and a half at most places. Yes, that's
Yeah, I
the
didn't do
story.
anything with this game because I don't know about both offensive lines.
Yeah,
And
there's
it's been a problem for both. I probably feel more comfortable taking I don't know if it's still out there, 3.5 with the Vikings because they're a good team.
FanDuel has 3.5 right now.
Yeah.
So South Point has 3.5. ESPN Bet has 3.5. Fanatics has 3.5. But there's a bunch of other ones.
Yeah, I'm
So
trying to see if any local places have it here in Vegas. They may have them. No, I see only 3. Well, I see South Point 3.5. I'm showing Circa 3 minus 20. I would not mind.
that's what I see as well.
Yeah. So I'm showing South Point. On South Point, I don't. I do not believe they adjust their VIG. So they're at 3.5 minus 110 each way. I'm guessing.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, contest not much last week. Not a lot of people disappeared. That they bailed out with Green Bay coming back and Denver coming back with miraculous wins. Denver especially miraculous, and so a lot of people survived because of those two teams.
Yeah,
Not
as in the main, well, we talk about the Grandissimo contest, and we can also talk about the Westgate Super Survivor contest as well, which is sort of like the Circa, but they don't have the Christmas and Thanksgiving weeks that Circa does. So that's a 20-week contest. That's the $5,000 entry fee that Westgate started this year. They started with 111 entrants, so it was a prize pool of I think $550,000 that or 555 that they had. They're down to 24. 87 have been eliminated, and last week of the 24, 20 of them were on the Chiefs and 4 of them were on the Patriots. So everybody advanced in the Grandissimo contest, which is down. I think it started at 69, and they were down to 16. 15 headed into last week. 12 were on the Chiefs, and 1 was on the Patriots, 1 was on the Lions, and 1 was on the Broncos. So they also advanced. And much like you just pointed out, in the main contest where we had 18,718 entries and 14,300 of them exactly had been eliminated by the end of week 5. We talked last week about in week 6 that only 200 and some odd people were eliminated, and that was the same last week. We had 204 eliminated, so there's now 4,214 entries. Each entry has a theoretical value of $4,442. The main culprit last week, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of the 204 that were eliminated, 181 of them were eliminated Thursday night when the Steelers lost to the Bengals. The other ones that had any number, the Jets actually had 4 people eliminated who chose them against the Panthers. You had 2 eliminated on the Dolphins in their loss to Miami. You had 11 eliminated by the Chargers. You had 1 eliminated on the Falcons. And you had 4 people who had survived the first 6 weeks of the contest. $1,000 entry fee was looking good, and those 4 people failed to submit a selection.
Oh, that's amazing.
Well, I can't. That's a total. That's a total of 94 people. That's $94,000 of money that was wasted.
That's
because remember, once you fail to submit, you're out of the contest. So it's not like it's the same person forgetting to submit the entry each week. Once you forget the first week, like in the Circa Millions or the Westgate contest, if you don't submit an entry, you just don't. You get 0 points that week instead of up as many as 5. You keep submitting.
You're still in the game. You just
exactly
shorten yourself a little bit. I've done that myself.
So that's the that's the brief wrap up on the contests. This week it'll be interesting to find out because you have a clear favorite in the Chiefs as far as the number they're laying Monday night up to 12.5 in their game against Washington.
Daniels is out. The line just jumped way up, and it's up to 11.5, 12.5.
Yeah, and the other big team will be the Indianapolis Colts hosting Tennessee. They're a 14-point favorite on the betting spread.
Yeah,
a lot of people may not have used them yet, and they already beat Tennessee by 21 points in week 2.
And you go to Circa, it's 15.5.
Yeah, and I think it's headed that way.
Yeah,
the thought of laying 14.5 points or 15.5 in an NFL game is somewhat frightening. Meaning that there have to be better plays you can make than laying 15 points in an NFL game.
Yeah, I think every game's scary, especially when you have a 19-point lead in the fourth quarter and give up 33 points like the Giants did last week. These teams are just, they're psychotic, basically. How they play, what they do, and the things that happen. And then they're giving a lot of credit to Baltimore this week, even though Lamar has been out for a while. We're assuming he's going to play because of that line. It's 6.5 over Chicago, and we're assuming he's going to play.
How effective will he be?
We don't know that, and then Chicago's been really good on early with their scripted plays, so it's very likely that Chicago will get the lead in that game or score pretty good in the first quarter. Because of the way they've been playing well with their scripted plays.
They've been taking very nicely to Ben Johnson's coaching.
Yes, they have. At least so far, if they hit a wall and Caleb can't pick up and move on and grow, then they'll start to have problems because I'm sure they need a lot more growth. But
Bears have not had great success in high draft choice quarterbacks over the past few decades.
There's not a lot of good ones out there. There are a lot of injuries out there. Everybody's hurt. San Francisco's a mash unit. The Jets are changing quarterback this week. Flacco's playing for Cincinnati. Houston's they're just not good on offense.
You got Dalton. You got Dalton coming in now, at least for 1 week, with Bryce Young down and out for Carolina. The Panthers are another team that's been playing well. Now, they've got a winning record right now. I don't know that anyone would have made a wager that after 7 games they'd be 4-3.
Yeah, and they're especially been tough at home.
Yeah,
so that's and then the Bills are coming off a couple of losses and off their bye.
Yeah,
and the Giants are coming off that what I just spoke about,
heartbreaking loss.
Unbelievable loss, and they beat Philadelphia a couple of weeks ago. There's
Philadelphia's still perfect. They've been outgained by every opponent this year.
Yeah, and they have a
maybe that's record. Imperfect. Maybe that's the better word
for them. For them, maybe that's their formula.
Yeah, they're winning ugly, but they're winning because there's just so much talent on that team. But it's almost like Kansas City last year when they had all those close wins. They were not the team that they were the year before when they won the Super Bowl. And right now we're seeing Philadelphia apparently not being the same team they were last year when they won the Super Bowl. But they're still good enough to make a run. We'll see how they rebound this week. That very quick revenge game against the Eagles after just losing up in New York. Actually, 2 weeks ago tonight. It was a Thursday night game.
I expect them to bounce back, play very tough physical game. They have the talent. I think they'll show up. Speaking of Kansas City, that's the most ascending team right now in the NFL. They are playing lights out since they got Worthy back and then Rice back. And as long as they can stay healthy, and of course Washington's playing without Daniels, they're coming in with
a couple of banged up receivers who may be back, but we're not certain with Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin.
You got Dallas,
but without Daniel pitching to him.
You got Dallas and Denver, with Dallas with the big offense and Denver with the big defense. It's a big That's a hell of a
That's a
matchup.
game where when I look at games, and I sort of throw special teams out because you never really know, and they're not. I mean, they're obviously important and they're involved, but offense, defense. I would say the matchup of the Dallas offense and the Denver defense is probably a wash. But then you go to the third and fourth units. The third best unit on the field is probably the Denver offense, and the fourth best or the worst unit on the field has to be the Dallas defense. So the
Well,
game may be won by Denver because their deficit against the Cowboys' deficit or weakness against weakness is not as bad as Dallas's defensive weakness against Denver's offensive strength, or vice versa.
I think the argument that for Dallas would be that Bo Nix for Denver has been so inconsistent.
I throw out the last 2 weeks for Denver. They played in London. You never know what you're going to get over there, how your body's going to react and everything. And then they not only had that long trip back across the Atlantic, they had the long trip across the United States going from wherever they landed, let's say in New York. I don't know if it was a direct flight from London to Denver, but even so, that's another 3-4 hours that they traveled to get back home that most other teams didn't have to. Who don't live out the mountain or western time zone, and that may have affected their play last week against the Giants. And then later on, maybe they got a little bit more comfortable at home, and whatever jet lag they had may have worn off, because they certainly played an amazing fourth quarter against the Giants.
And they could thank the Giant quarterback for throwing that crazy interception that lit the fire, that let them back in the game. So Andy, what do you got on our normal course of conversations?
You've seen that dart.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Jim. What was that one?
No, I said what our normal
a little video thing here.
We talk about.
You were asking, yeah.
What do you have?
Okay. Well, we could talk about the teasers this week, and again, it's so commonplace. And I do teasers, but I do them a little differently as far as historical, situational situation. But you talk about the old teasing, 7-8 point favorites down and 2-3 point underdogs up. You would think that, for example, a lot of people might, for the Thursday night game, tease the Vikings up against the Chargers. That seems to be a very competitive game based upon the fact that both teams are having similar weaknesses along the offensive line. And, when healthy, they both have, pretty good defenses. So that figures that, if you're getting 9.5 points with Minnesota, that would be good. A team that you might want to pair them in with, and we talked about it on our ATS podcast today, 49ers getting 1.5. I think now it's up to 2.5 in some places. You tease that up against a Houston team that you sort of wonder why Houston is the favorite in the game to begin with. So the 49ers might make a nice underdog teaser. I don't know if you want to tease the Saints up against the Buccaneers, because I'm not sure the Saints can be trusted, and the Bucs, when things are functioning well. Baker Mayfield's having an outstanding year. They still have a couple of good receivers, even without Evans, who's now out for the season. You would also consider teasing the Cowboys up, but once again, with their defense, that's not inconceivable to see Denver having the ability against that defense to put up a double-digit win. I do think the one that you can tease up also is the Sunday night game, Pittsburgh getting 3 against Green Bay. That figures to be a fairly even matchup. The line seems to be a little bit, at -3, the Packers, I can understand it because of the stats, but based upon when you look a little bit closer at who everybody's played and the situation, I can make an argument that this game should be decided by less than a touchdown. And if indeed that's the case, teasing the Steelers up would make sense. So those are the ones that I would look at underdogs. Now, of course, when people are watching this, if they're not watching it live, they may have already missed the opportunity to tease up the Vikings. Certainly have on Monday with that big line either way with the Commanders and the Chiefs. But looking at the Sunday.
There's some legs out there. I mean, you favorites and dogs. I mean, Cincinnati's an option. San Francisco's an option. I'm not going to go with the injury situation with Baltimore. I'm not sure about that. I mean, Atlanta's
Falcons would be a big option.
Yeah. Yeah.
Buffalo.
I don't know. The record for Carolina as a home underdog, straight up and win, that's a very dangerous spot. And Buffalo
Coming
has
off
not been
coming
doing
off of
well.
2 losses and a bye week, you're asking at -7 to tease it down to -1. You're just asking Buffalo to win the game. And again, a lot of the players that are out, a lot of the defenders who were banged up, they've had that extra time off to heal. Taking nothing away from Carolina, they've been a very nice story, but they're going up against a team that knows how to win because they've been doing it so well for the last 5-6 years that this might be a spot. I'm not talking about laying the points with Buffalo to cover the number, just to cover the tees or get the straight up. And same thing with the Eagles.
Carolina is going with Andy Dalton,
Andy
the Red
Dalton, yeah.
Rifle, because the young is hurt a little bit. Philadelphia is obvious because they do have a revenge factor against the Giants, and they're going to be motivated.
Because you don't want to lose twice to your division rival, especially one that figures that doesn't be a contender, meaning that if you lose twice to the Giants, those are 2 opportunities for Dallas and Washington to pick up wins that you can't have now.
You make Dallas very live in that division if you lose this
Yes.
game to the Giants. That's for sure.
Especially with Daniel now, his uncertain status going
Right.
forward for the next few weeks. I think Patriots is another good one to tease down, and that's probably it. So you're looking at the obvious favorites with I'd say the Bengals, and maybe you want to try the Ravens. I'm not sure, but don't be greedy. Maybe the Falcons make sense, and the Bills and the Eagles and the Patriots. So there are 4 or 5 teams that you can use.
I also like some of the dogs that you mentioned too. I think teasing up some of these dogs. Pittsburgh #1, Dallas is a teaser, and with their offense, the best offense in football is an option.
The only concern I have with the Dallas teasing up is that because of their defense, they may end up having to settle for field goals against Denver's defense, whereas Denver's offense can get touchdowns against the Dallas defense.
I haven't seen anybody slow down Dallas yet. I haven't seen anybody slow down Dallas yet.
Well, Philadelphia, the first game of the year, that was about it. And that was without Jalen Carter. Yeah,
and that was
the Lightning and everything. Yeah,
that was the lightning strike game. Where they scored no points in the second half. So that's I got to throw that one out.
I also wonder about how the altitude will affect the defense. I would think it affects defense more than offense. The altitude.
True story. What else you got on your card?
Well, the other thing we normally talk about are looking for alternate lines where you think that you might have an advantage, and maybe the one that comes to mind first. Atlanta's a 7.5-point favorite at home against the Dolphins. You could lay -110 to lay the 7.5, and the Dolphins are so bad that they've been somewhat competitive. But maybe Atlanta, and again coming off of the loss to San Francisco that followed that a nice big win over Buffalo, maybe you can lay 10.5 or 13.5 with Atlanta.
Or you could take a Pittsburgh Steelers on the money line.
Money line, yes.
There's any of these 3-point, teams that you like to stay in the game, like Dallas. Instead of taking the points, just take a money line. So they're alternative.
Even 49ers at 2.5 now.
I don't understand that line. Why Houston is favored 2.5 -20 now at Circa. Which is basically almost 3.
The only thought I could have there is that maybe Purdy is still not ready, and maybe Mac Jones still is being bothered by an injury that had him his status a little bit uncertain heading into last week's game. Maybe somebody knows something about that.
I've been reading a lot of stuff on injuries, and I have not seen anything there, but I'll be checking again tonight to try to pick up any information I can find. The Monday night game is very difficult to play when you have a 11.5, 12.5 point favorite. Kansas City, they'll win the game. Excuse me.
Bless you.
By as many points as they want to. I mean, they're ascending. You got Washington coming in with the backup quarterback. Their defense, they got some wide receivers hurt. And Washington's just not playing all that well.
No, I mean, there you're talking about a rookie quarterback who has not really come close to duplicating his efforts of last year, even before he got injured. I mean, he was still okay, but he's not wowed anybody this year like he did last year as a rookie from start to finish. It's always difficult teasing big favorites down because sometimes they may have like a nice comfortable lead, and then you get the backdoor cover because as long as you're still up by a score or so. So if you tease them down from 12.5 to 6.5, maybe they command a score late to turn a 28-17 game into a 28-24 game.
Right.
Yeah.
The logical
yeah,
report. What was your big take or article?
Oh, the big article actually looked at home field advantage in the NFL. I think last week we looked at home underdogs and talked about the fact that home underdogs being profitable is just a myth. And you go back, I think I went back in the study that if you go back to 2002, you're down about 100 units by blindly betting NFL home underdogs over the following 23 years. That's the bad news. The good news, and I put that in quotes, is that of the four categories, home favorite, home dog, road favorite, road dog, home underdogs would have cost you the least amount of money of the four opportunities if you played them blindly. So it's just illustrating that home underdogs, while they are the best of the four options, blindly betting them still gives you a pretty significant loss, but it's less than the other three. This week I take a look at home field advantage.
How about division home dogs?
I didn't break it down, but I would imagine even there, if you blindly played division home dogs, you'd probably still end up having a record on the blind. In other words, it's very difficult in almost any situation to just blindly bet something simply because it makes sense. But home underdogs in division games do. But it means that if you can be, let's say the 8, and now of course you got 8 divisions, so there's a possibility for a lot of divisional home underdogs over the course of a season that you probably end up losing money. But if you are, I could understand a lot of people feeling comfortable taking the Giants as home they're road underdogs. But that I'm trying to think, is there don't think there's a home underdog this week in the
yes, there is the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans.
Oh,
Saints
I'm sorry, you're right. Yeah, and that's reflected by a very short line, by the way. So it is making it less attractive to take the Saints as a home underdog. But yeah, it's like anything else. You got to be selective, and that's a problem with. You might, and again, if it's not much more than a 50-50 proposition over the years, and it's probably even if you go 50-50 over the years over 1,000 plays, that's still a big loss, 500 and 500 because of the big on the losing 500. So
amen.
You do need to be somewhat selective, and it's when I've always felt the old saying is one of the old saying is when you take a two bad teams playing each other, one bad team has to win. And so a lot of people say, well, if I got two bad teams playing each other, I'll take the bad team with the points because that's one of the few games they can win. It's also probably one of the few games the opponent can win, but they have to win by a margin.
Correct.
To cash your ticket. So
correct. Well, Andy, I know that you have to run. You got a show to do in about
radio obligation. Yes.
Yes. Thank you for this. Good luck this weekend.
You as well. To all of our viewers and listeners.
Kick some ass.
Yes.
Take care, Andy. Thank you.
Cash some tickets, Jim, and everybody out there, and we'll be back with a recap and preview next week.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks.